Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is internationally syndicated solely due to the love and support that you all continue to give. We're available across all major distributors, and as long as you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in, because on the line with us today, we have the impressive Michael Steven Purles. Now we're going to be discussing his incredible book, Turtletoes, Following the Steps of an Angel. It's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble, man, it's a lot of other places, but to gather it all, and trust me when I tell you, man, Michael has a lot in store, so there's more that you're going to want to gather. Head on over to his personal website, and that's michaelpurles.com. There, gather more information on him, on Turtletoes, but he's got 3 other books that he's written, and you're going to want to check them all out. All right, again, that's michaelpurles.com. Head on over there today. And I quickly want to take this opportunity and point out the fact that he was brought to us by Author Reputation Press. So for writers out there listening in who have gone through their process and now you find yourself in a tough position because you've spent some sleepless nights creating this masterpiece and now you need assistance moving it. Well, head on over to authorreputationpress.com and gather all the ways that their fantastic team is more than equipped to help you do just that. And listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Michael here on the line. You know, we often say parents raise their children. And listen, that's true, of course. But what if the opposite is just as true? Well, okay, follow me here. It's an interesting question, but I promise when I start to pose what I'm about to say, you're going to be like, yeah, Benji, that makes a lot of sense. Well, Michael, he wrote a book that proves that statement, okay? He wrote about a daughter who arrived with a broken heart, medically speaking, and somehow used it to mend his. You see, her name was Tracy, and her nickname was Turtletoes, hence the title of the book. In her 20 years on Earth, man, it quietly flipped the script on what a beautiful life actually looks like. This is an inspirational book. This is going to be a tearjerker at times, but most importantly, this is going to be a wonderful education of really what we should focus on a lot of times. And listen, I'm not casting any aspersions. I'm not pointing any fingers. Like, I get it. We're all on that hamster wheel of life, running from one thing to the next, where so often we forget to stop, be present, and enjoy those individual moments. And I'll be the first to throw myself under that bus, man. As a new parent myself, like my wife and I are very newly embarking upon the journey. Our daughter is 3, our son is 1.5 years, and we try to make a conscious effort, sometimes more successfully than others, to remain present, to take it all in, because my goodness, the days just start to melt together after a while. And these kids, man, they're growing. I can't believe we're here already. This is going to be a fantastic reminder of so much. Sit back, strap in, and please believe we're only scratching the surface here today. By the time we've concluded, it's going to be up to you to run and purchase your copies. There we go. Michael, first and foremost, welcome to the network, and thank you for being a guest with us, man. How are you doing today?
Hey, I am doing well, and I'm so happy to have this opportunity to talk about things that really touch our hearts. Mm-hmm. I'm a guy with gray hair, and I've learned enough through the different journeys I've been on that the most satisfying, the most fulfilling are those that are heart to heart.
Yeah.
And so I'm fully expecting that that's what will happen with us today, and then I hope with your listeners that I'll be able to share something that has meaning for them in some important way.
Yeah. Michael, listen, I have no doubt that that's going to be the case, man. And listen, I know you brought it up a second ago in terms of your gray hair. And really, the symbolism there is that you've lived, you're seasoned now. Okay, that's what we say. We don't say ages here on the network. We just talk about somebody's a little seasoned. So when you've been through certain things, you've acquired some seasoning along the way. So you're hinting towards your age. Well, Mike, I'll tell you, man, I've had gray hairs for years, and I would say I'm still relatively young in this life path, but that's neither here nor there. We'll talk about that another time. Listen, man, this is going to be a fantastic discussion. First and foremost, Michael, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I am a son of a father and a mother and a brother and three sisters, and grew up in a home where we cared for each other. We enjoyed being together. We teased each other a fair amount. So we had different experiences.
Yeah.
And they became all part of our lives together. And in our home, as I grew up, there was a focus on creating a relationship with the heavens, with our Father in heaven, with Jesus Christ. And so that's an important part of who I am and where I have been. And so in school, yes, I have a degree from a university, and my degree was in biology. And did I go into biology? No, I didn't. I went down another pathway. It was great for helping me to learn, to study, to ponder, to make wise choices. That was great. But my pathway has been a business pathway, and one that I have enjoyed focusing on helping people with financial challenges and whatnot. Serving turned out to be something very important. And certainly I got that in my home as I was growing up. So here I am now. I'm old enough that I do have some experiences to share. And the writing of the books took place, which was something that turned out to be very therapeutic for me. For as I read, for instance, in the scriptures and found stories there and counsel there and whatnot that touched me, I discovered there was an application for that with my experiences in life as well. And I just felt like I needed to put it into print, if for no one else, for my family, for my wife, my children, any grandchildren. But I will tell you that doing that and focusing on Scripture and praying about it and wanting to align my life with it and write about it has made me a better person than I would have been otherwise. So I hope that's enough. That's who I am.
Listen, man, that's more than enough, and that is perfect. What a way to jump start it. Let's jump right in. Turtletoes, tell us more about your book.
All right. So I need to explain the title.
Yes, please.
And to do that, I have to tell you about my oldest child, whose name is Tracy. And Tracy was born with congenital heart disease. What happened was that in the development process, the right side of her heart didn't develop. And so on day 2 of her life, she had open heart surgery. And the surgeons, in order to preserve her life, had to go in and take the pulmonary artery and the main aorta, sewed them together, cut a hole between them, and that became the right side of her heart, where there would be a mixing of blood that had oxygen in it and the blood that didn't have it. Wow. And so as a result, there were development challenges for her. When she passed away at age 20, she was the size of a 9-year-old. She couldn't walk until she was about 4.5 years old. She had some cognitive issues in school. In fact, now here's where the term Turtletoes comes from. Early in her elementary school experience, one of her teachers nicknamed her Turtletoes because she walked so slowly. And you can imagine that with 3 younger brothers, that a nickname like that might stick around. And it did. And yet it became a term, a name, a vision of you, if you will, of love and thanksgiving for her and unique to her. And so that became important in the writing of this book, because I wanted to write about our experiences with her as a family, for they were totally out of our expectation. My wife and I could never have conceived, well, I shouldn't have used that word, could never have understood that we would have a daughter with these kinds of issues. Mm-hmm. But that's what took place. And so I felt it important for me to record what was going on. So I had a journal. I tried to write every day in it. I tried to record all the different experiences. And so as we watched Turtletoes develop, we discovered that there were challenges in her life, obviously, but there were gifts that you would never know. This little daughter of ours had a relationship with the heavens that was quite remarkable in my mind. Let me share just two quick experiences.
Yeah.
One to kind of open it up, and one at that near the end of her life. I happened to be with her in her bedroom on the second floor of the house, and it's nighttime, and the moon's out, and there are stars, and I'm holding her in my arms, and we're looking out at the sky and talking about where heaven might be. Where would her father in heaven be? Excuse me. And where would she end up going after this life, this mortal life? And she said to me, when I go, I'm going to take my blanket with me. Now, that was a very important statement from her, because that told you where her comfort zone was, what she needed. And that blanket stayed for years, from one big-sized blanket down to a little handful of cloth, but it was around. Now, in the hospital, when Tracy was preparing to leave this life, we were talking back and forth and sharing a little bit. And in fact, at one point, she said to me, "Daddy, you've got to be so bored." So, yeah, bored? Here's my daughter. She's dying, and she's worried about me being bored. And people would come and visit her in the hospital, and they'd ask her about going home. And she always told them that she was going home on Thursday. Now, let me explain a little bit about that. The doctors had said if she improved, that she could probably go home on Friday. And everyone who came in, she told them she was leaving on Thursday. And we'd try to correct her, and nothing changed. But I realized that we had always talked about the possibility, if you will, of death, but phrasing it as going home. And she told everyone she was going home on Thursday. And this little girl with cognitive and physical difficulties and whatnot knew when she was going to pass away. And she went home on Thursday. Wow. So that's who she is. She impacted our lives remarkably. She blessed us. So that's who Turtletoes is.
Michael, listen, man, I love it. People, let me just say, first and foremost, let me just plug it, man. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, michaelpurles.com. Remember, Turtletoes is what we're discussing today, but there are 3 others you're going to want to get your hands on. And I'm already hooked, right? We've barely scratched the surface, and I know you all are as well, because you recognize the value here that this book possesses. And it's interesting, man, because, I said it in my opening, you just reaffirmed it now in terms of, how she was almost a parent to you. And I remember, when my team and I were having discussions in preparation for today's interview, one thing that came up that I had mentioned And I remember for years, really for pretty much the majority of my life, my father would always say something to me, and he's told this story so many times. And you know how parents get, they say things about their kids ad nauseum at times, and it's just like, oh my goodness, I heard it. But this first and foremost, just for my dad, because I know he's going to be listening. Yes, I heard you. Okay, it didn't go in one ear and out the other. It actually stuck. I remember this. But now for everybody else, like to point out, I remember he tells this story constantly about when I was born. There was a sense that he got. I can't remember exactly if it was something that I had done or if it was just his natural paternal intuition, but he uses the phrase, when he saw me, he knew that I was the father of the father. And it was a profound statement, something that I think for the majority of my life, like I understood verbally what that meant. And I got the connection that he was making. But I'm going to be honest with you, Mike, I didn't fully grasp the concept until I became a father myself. And then to see your child, to see your children grow and how they learn, they adapt, but also how they then can educate you. And in this instance, how my children have educated me, even though, again, a very short scope here. We're talking about 3 years, but in that 3 years, there's been such a remarkable transformation that I've recognized in myself, in my wife, and that is solely and entirely due to my children, due to my daughter. And then later on with my son, you started to go into this, but I want to touch up on it and go a little bit further with that concept. Because you talk about how Tracy, really taught you, right? And had you growing. Well, what is one of the most important life lessons that Tracy taught you, and maybe taught you without even saying a word?
Yes, I can go there. And let me put it in this way. The one thing that distinguished Tracy in our minds and hearts from the challenges that she had, the difficulties, and they were real. And there were times of tears and of pain and sorrow and whatnot. But what she had that was absolute, that healed all of that and prepared us for days to come, was from her love. And we discovered, or Michael, it's probably better, my wife probably already knew it, but Michael discovered that love is likely the most powerful force in our lives. It's not hindered by time, by distance, by abilities, all these things that we use in our mortal lives to gauge where we are, how we're doing, and whatnot. Love is the one that doesn't need any of that. And she loved us. She loved her blanket. She loved some pets that we had. She loved everyone that she associated with. And I came to know how important love is and how powerful it is through her. A remarkable experience. And yes, she was the mother to me, if you will.
Yeah.
In coming to know the most important things in life, and they came from her.
I love that. People, this is such a beautifully impactful narrative here. I can sit here and I can talk to Michael for hours, man. There's that much content here that can be discussed, but I'm gonna hold I'm gonna refrain from doing that. I'm gonna hold myself back, and I'm gonna close out with this last question here, because we've discussed so many gems. There is wisdom for days here, but I'm curious to know, Michael, for someone who might be afraid that this book is potentially too sad,
what would you say is the most uplifting takeaway or feeling that they'll be left with after they close that final page?
Oh, that's a powerful question, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Here are my thoughts about that. Number one, if we have a relationship with the heavens, if we have the ability to go to our knees in prayer and to ask our Father in heaven about the challenges in our lives, I've discovered this power of love is certainly given from the heavens and touches us in ways that we might not ever expect. And I've discovered that this heavenly love only has joy in it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have sorrow. It doesn't have the mean things that we might see going on in the world. And this is the love that my daughter had. She came here filled with that love.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, our experiences with her, even as difficult as they were, they always turned out to be joyful.
Yeah.
They always turned out to be memorable. They always turned out to affect me in ways that I couldn't have known at the time, but I discovered as time went on the kind of impact that she had had. So this book is not a book about sorrow. We talk about sorrow, but most all the books that you're going to read anywhere, you're going to find one side and then the other side.
Yeah, of course.
And we love that in our lives. Yeah, struggles and whatnot, and then successes. Well, this book has that on a spiritual level and on a level regarding love, because it was everything. It was everything. We even had a cat who, for some reason, when my daughter would go down with an illness, and she was ill a lot, when that was going on, that cat had to be with her on the bed and wouldn't leave her. There was this sensitivity and this love in there that even this animal could feel about her.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have an opportunity in our lives to reach out and to touch others in ways that we could never imagine, or they could never imagine, if we will just deal with each other heart to heart and trust people to share the things that are most important to them, not about the world, but about who they are. And so that's the feeling, that's the emotion, that's the joy, that's the thanksgiving. Do I miss my daughter? Yes. But am I sad about what took place in her life or the things that she missed or whatever and didn't enjoy? Absolutely not. She knew things that I'm still learning about. So her memory is still raising me. Michael is still a child being instructed.
Wow. Okay. Michael, listen, man, I think what a beautiful way to close out of the interview. And listen, I knew that closing out with that question was the perfect way to go, because it was going to offer reflection for you, but education for others. And this is the power of the book. This is the beautiful essence of Tracy's life, is it teaches us so much, and especially in the time and age that we're in now, where technology has advanced. And listen, for all of the wonderful gifts that technology and social media and all of these other things that we possess nowadays, as great as they have been, there are definitely a lot of cons. And so often, one of the biggest detriments is we're looking at things, especially when it comes to like social media. I was talking to somebody about this earlier today. We look at these social media posts and we see how everybody all of a sudden has a perfect life. Nobody has any issues anymore, right? And that we know that isn't true. We spend so much energy trying to fix what's quote unquote wrong with us. And what I love about Tracy's story is it whispers that perhaps the cracks are exactly where the light was designed to get in, right? Like the blemishes, or I guess quote unquote blemishes that we possess, they are gifts. And it causes us to open our eyes and shift our perception. But my goodness, once you do, there's no closing your eyes again. There's no going back, because you're going to see things in such an amazing light. And that's why I'm saying, people, you got to go and purchase your copies, right? Again, it's Amazon, Barnes & Noble, michaelpurles.com. Get Turtletoes. Get the 3 other titles that he has available now. But remember, this is more than a book. It is... let's say it's a 20-year masterclass in grace, taught by the smallest professor you'll ever meet. But
that is true.
What a wonderful blessing she has provided us, man. Michael, this has been a true pleasure, man. An absolutely wonderfully gratifying discussion. Keep up the fantastic work. And once again, thank you for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Thank you, Benji. Thank you for insightful comments. And thank you for setting the stage for me
Of course.
to talk heart to heart.